What's going on, beautiful people, and thank you for tuning in for another beer battle. It's Beer Monster O'Clock. So today we have Stella versus Stella. Gone mad, didn't I? But I've thought of another way to slag off the UK brewed Stella, because I really am trying to push the message out there how bad it is, and hopefully they might change it back. You never know. If not, it'd be fun trying, won't it? Because we're in Stella versus Stella. Of course, this is UK brewed Stella, the 4.6% Stella. It's not the one that you get in Belgium. This one is not very good. It was like 5.2 or something, and then they brought it down to 5.1, then 5, then 4.8, and now it's 4.6. Each time they decrease the ABV. The beer decreased in quality, and now they've really done it with this one. A lot of people are actually boycotting it, thankfully. Some people will just never learn and they'll just keep drinking it and they won't notice any difference. But a lot of people are starting to notice. And this one is not brewed in Belgium, it's brewed by AB InBev. And it's going against. Now, this is very interesting. I wish I could say I've just come back from Egypt and I brought a can of Egyptian Stella back. But my brother's just come back from Egypt and he very kindly managed to get me a can of Egyptian Stella with great difficulty because he couldn't go in the shops. They wouldn't allow him out of like the hotel and that. But I think he got it off someone on the plane or something. There is a story behind it. I can't remember exactly what he told me, so I won't even try. But yeah, anyway, he had trouble getting hold of it, to say the least, he said to me. It's only a small can, but it's much appreciated, brother. If you're watching, thank you very much. And I'm really interested to try this. There's a new Stella on the block. Well, ain't new. I've been brewing it for 125 years, but it's new to me. My brother was drinking it out in Egypt with his mate, and they thought they'd bring me back a can to review for the channel. So that's very nice of them. Here's a little look at your close-up can, because this one, we're more interested in this one. Just put the Stella in there just to slag it off a bit, really, and see whether the Egyptian Stella is better, which would be really surprising considering Egyptian isn't a Muslim country. Well, like 90% of people there are Muslims, so you wouldn't think they would put too much effort into their beer, would you? But this one's very popular in Egypt. It's 4.5%. See, it's called Stella, but it's also known as Star in Egypt. It's 4.5%, and 54% of all alcohol consumed in Egypt is this stuff, with all alcohol. So that gives you an idea of how popular it is in Egypt. That is absolutely incredible, isn't it? Talk about gain the market share. Yeah, so must have something about it, mustn't it? Because it sells bloody well. Anyway, there's 15 IBUs as well. Couldn't find out what IBUs the Stella one, the UK brewed Stella is, but I could the Egyptian one. Make it make sense, people. Anyway, let's crack them open, and I'm just going to do a quick one over Stella because I've reviewed it quite a few times now on the channel. But as I say, any excuse to rip it a bit, I'm going to grab with both hands. Hopefully someone make a video about Stella. One person might boycott it and then it's worth it for me. Or somebody might realise that they've lowered the ABV, because a lot of people won't realise. The average geezer, just drinks beer and they don't really think about it, do they? But the price hasn't really lowered, is it? The quality has. There's your Stella. Stella Artois, Belgium's finest. And then this annoys me. Look, it's got Belgium written on the can. Belgian. It's brewed in England. Bit naughty, innit? Just try and trick people into thinking that it's the real one. Brewed with SARS hops as well, it says on the front. Not much, to tell you that, from last time I tried it. We have a very white foamy head. Medium to high levels of carbonation going up the glass, as you can see there. Let's get the nose in there and check out the arena of Stella Artois UK brewed 4.6 stuff. Of course, by the way, it's a pale golden colour, you can see. Soggy bread, soggy cereal sort of aroma. A little bit grassy and then herbal from that SARS hop, but it's minuscule amount of hop, really. And it's just got that overwhelmingly bum crack smell about it. It's a bit arsey. It smells like someone's just poked their poo hole in there and just let one rip in your pint, sort of thing, Yeah, it doesn't smell great, but it doesn't smell too bad. Let's give this a quick go. Cheers, everybody. Bosh. It's not good. It's really not good. Light-bodied, slightly metallic, bland, compared to what it used to be when we had the proper Belgium stuff. Even like the 5% stuff weren't too bad. It's just terrible. Very bland, not much flavour. You got a little bit of a citrus in there, but a bit metallic, as I say. The last one I had wasn't too bad. This one tastes more metallic, so there seems to be a bit of a problem with consistency as well. But I think sometimes your mood affects a beer as well. It really does. And sometimes if you're in a better mood, you might score a beer better. Or if you really fancy a beer, it might taste particularly nice that day, even though it's crap, you know. It's a very interesting thing reviewing beer. Soggy bread again, touch of citrus, very mild SARS hop, no real bitterness. It's just so mild tasting. But one thing that ain't so mild is the arsiness, just the overwhelming taste of arsehole. And I can't see how this passed quality control. Stella used to be a premium, decent beer. You felt like lucky to be drinking it, you know. I even had adverts about like something about it being expensive but worth it and stuff like that. Now we're being fed this. Boycott this shitty beer. Even if this is even worse, which wouldn't surprise me, because it's an Egyptian lager, but it's called Stella, which is why I put them up against each other. Not much else to say about that. The 4.6 stuff is shit. Get yourself some Belgium Stella. Go round your off license. Some of them, if you're lucky, you can get the 5% one or the Belgian one. If you're really lucky, it may cost you a little bit more, but normally it's about the same price. Check the cans, because sometimes they sell both. And then you can put them up against each other and see for yourself how shit this 4.6% version is. Run over. I tried to remain pretty calm there. Because, you know, I've bashed Stella quite a lot. And that's because it's dog shit. Anyway, Stella or Star, Egyptian Stella, brewed by the Al Aram Beverages. Sorry if I've butchered that. If you're Egyptian, I do apologise. But, you know, yeah, your language is a little bit different from us, as you can tell by that Egyptian writing there. Or whatever it is, I don't know. But yeah, it's quite a basic looking can. Almost looks like Ukrainian or something, doesn't it? Right, to the colours and that. Anyway, this is interesting, this Egyptian style. It's 4.5% ABV. So it's a small can, most popular beer in Egypt. I was saying before, 54% of all alcohol is drunk is this beer. I mean, surely they don't drink. Most of it's just probably the holiday makers coming over and getting smashed, isn't it? But yeah, there she goes. Already, it looks different in colour. I think it's maybe slightly lighter, though that's coming across. It might be darker actually. It's hard with these lights, I'll tell you that. Similar in colour. Foamy head. Less carbonation in the Egyptian Stella for me. Definitely less. Slightly smaller bubbles, I would say as well. Here's a look at your Egyptian Stella in the glass. There are some big bubbles in there as well, like inconsistent size bubbles, if you like. Head is retaining better, that's for sure. So even the Egyptians can get better head retention than our shitty UK Stella. Let's get the nose in there and check out the aroma of Egyptian Stella, or Star if you like, not to be confused with Star of Brahman. Yeah, this one doesn't have much aroma at all. It smells a bit cheap. It doesn't smell unpleasant, and it doesn't smell like arseholes, which is a positive. But it doesn't smell like much, but I'd rather not much smell than an arsey smell. And some lagers don't smell like much. Some of the best lagers I've ever tried don't smell like much. That doesn't mean too much, really. Just a little bit of grainy malt and a slight sweetness, which I hope isn't syrup. Not much to it. It's just one of them lagers that smells like bugger all, really. But if it tastes good, it tastes good. That's all you care about, really. Who sniffs their beer? It's only like for review purposes. Some people like that sort of thing, you know. Anyway, I had to say cheers in Egyptian. God knows. Anyone? Do they even do cheers in Egyptian? Because a lot of them are Muslims, aren't they? I'll just do it the English way. Cheers, everybody. Bosh. Let's try the old Egyptian Stella. Ooh. That's pretty horrendous. But what I was saying earlier about sometimes your mood can affect what you think of a beer. Now this is a perfect example. Not in the best of moods. I've just been drinking the UK shitty Stella, and I've come over to this. And also, we've got to remember, this is designed to be drunk in Egypt in the scorching hot sun. Perhaps while you're going for a little cruise down the River Nile, or look down to see the pyramids or whatever. And in that sort of heat out in Egypt, you're probably not too fussed what your beer tastes like. You probably just want it to be very refreshing. That's what you want. You're not going to care too much. You're on holiday, probably not a lot of choice of beer. If they've got this, fair dues. It's a little bit watery and it's a little bit bland. But my main issue with it is it's quite a sweet lager. Though some people like that, so some people will probably prefer this more than me. But it's quite a sweet, quite intense, quite an intense sweetness to it, which I noticed straight away. Let's go in again, because I've just come from the Stella. Sometimes it takes a few mouthfuls to adjust to a new taste, so let's give it the benefit of doubt for now, but not a good first impression, I must say. You know, sorry, bro. Very, very sweet. I'm not sure if it's like a syrupy sweetness, but it's damn sweet. And there's just not a lot going on here. There's a little bit of a bitterness on the end. I'm struggling to really pick up any taste, because that sweetness, whatever it may be, is really dominant. And the only other main thing I'm getting is like a bit of a bitterness on the end and a bit of a crisp dryness. So yeah, like the UK brewed Stella, it's not very good, but it's drinkable. And as I say, I'm drinking this in the winter, in December. It's nearly bloody Christmas in the UK. And I was on about the whole mood thing. I'm sure if I sucked my flip-flops on in Egypt with my hand breasts out, I reckon I wouldn't give a shit and I'd just be smashing it. It'd be so hot, I wouldn't even care. You know what I mean? So mood's a big thing. To say, this is just a bog standard lager. It's not the worst lager in the world. It's just very bog standard, cheap tasting beer. But, you know, it does a job in Egypt, I guess. It reminds me a bit of, if I was to compare it to another beer, like a sweeter version of a Budweiser. No real flavour, but it's wet and refreshing and slammable. I think Budweiser is the same ABV actually as well in the UK, 4.5%. Interesting. Maybe there's a little thing going on there, I don't know, but it does remind me of Bud, a sweeter version of Bud, perhaps slightly better than Bud. Not that that's hard, but this is a sort of level I would say you're talking here with this. So yeah, not one to rush in and look for online, but if you're in Egypt, it'll go down all right, do you know what I mean? Unless you're a proper beer snob, that's going to do the job in Egypt for me. Anyway, go back to the Stella. They're both Stella, aren't they? The UK Stella. And give them a score. Based on what I'm thinking right at this moment. That can vary from review to review, as I say. Mood, temperature of the beer, temperature outside. I don't know what I've scored it in other reviews, but right now I'm thinking about a 4 for Stella Artois. Which is a shame, because it genuinely used to be one of my favourite lagers, or it still is if it's the Belgian one. But this stuff is just arsey piss water. 4 out of 10. I just can't give it no more than that. It's pretty dreadful. It may even be being kind. I'm sure I've gave it a 2 before, you know. Maybe the slight metallicness this time is helping it out. Right, Egyptian Stella. What can I give this out of 10? Oh, God. They're both pretty dire, if I'm honest. Oh, God, why did I put myself through this? Jesus Christ. Also, I wonder if it is better on tap. If my brother might have had it on tap in Egypt. I wonder if it's better on tap. It'd be interesting. But it's not good out of a can. It's not metallic, though. Score out of 10 for one more go, because I want to be fair. If the UK Stella's better, you know, I've got to be honest. I've got to be honest, and that's key. Even though everything's telling me say the Egyptian one's better, but I don't want to say it just for the sake of it, just to put more hate on the UK Stella. So I want to make sure I make the right decision here. The arse. It's just arse versus sweetness. At the end of the day, perfectly honest, they're both shit. They're both shit. But I'm just going to give the slight edge. Even though I hate it, I'm just going to go in with like a 4.5 with the Egyptian Stella. It will be alright in Egypt. And it's too sweet for me. That's my main issue is it's too sweet for me, but I'd rather too sweet than arsehole. Okay, so that's what I'm basing my decision on. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate all the new subscribers. Welcome to the channel. I appreciate it so much. There's been loads of subscribers lately, and honestly, I'm chuffed to bits. Thank you very much. Suggest ideas of what sort of content you'd like to see on the channel, guys. I quite enjoy doing these beer battles, but I really do with your help, guys. Give me some ideas of things you'd like to see matched up against each other. I try to think of them, but sometimes I'm just in the shop thinking, so yeah, any ideas would be much appreciated, guys. I'll take any suggestions into consideration. And hit the like button if you made it this far, guys. What are you waiting for? Consider subscribing to the channel if you're not done already. Become a beer monster. Well, there's a membership down below if you're interested. I probably wouldn't bother though, I'm being honest. And until next one, guys. Bye-bye, darlings.